Hey, welcome to Toontyme, bringing you Newcastle news and discussion. Today was a press conference for Eddie Howe ahead of the game on Sunday against Man City. It was quite interesting. If anyone's been watching his press conferences, he's always quite balanced and he's never reactionary to any of the questions posed to him. He's quite a cool fellow. Eddie Howe he knows how to handle the media and get his point across without being overly emotional or you know he won't allow them to rattle him at any time. He was talking about, so there's a few questions posed to him, such as his winless run against Pep Guardiola, and I think it's 10 games. He hasn't beaten him once, and hopefully this Sunday is the start of breaking that. But I think he's gonna approach it as you can a game such as this. You're playing against one of the top teams in Europe, just being beaten by the European champions in the semi-finals of the Champions League. So you're not dealing, and they just won the Premier League. So they're extremely well drilled, well disciplined, composed, very smooth running machine that Pep Guardiola has produced at Man City. He's done it throughout his managerial career, and he poses some great questions to Eddie Howe, and I think this is a challenge that he relishes. This is why he's come for this opportunity at Newcastle, so he can help build a club to eventually be able to cause real problems for the likes of Man City and Liverpool within the league, as well as the other teams such as the rest of the so-called top six clubs. So I feel like he's got a plan. He knows what he wants from the players. The players know what he wants from them. And they have a plan that if things that don't go well, it'll make their adjustments to counter what Pep Guardiola brings, but as well as trying to utilize the crowd at St James Park to try and make it as hostile, to make it a real cauldron, to turn up the heat on Man City. I know they've played in many big matches and faced similar circumstances, but I feel like when the stadium is rocking, it can unnerve players and their management. I mean, I watched the All or Nothing for Arsenal, where they played us, and you could see, even though Arteta and some of the Arsenal playing staff were trying to, amp up their players, they were deflated, and I don't know why. Maybe it was just the pressure of that situation. They were at that time they're trying to get that fourth spot and coming to Newcastle, who were very buoyant at the time. We turned it up. It was the penultimate game of the season, final home game of the season, and you could see that the Newcastle players wanted to impress, and they battled first, and then they won the war. They won all the battles, and that's what it's gonna be on Sunday. We gotta win those battles. We gotta make things difficult for them, and then implement our strategy when we get the opportunities to play, and be really clinical, because that's what you have to do against Man City to unnerve them. You have to rattle them. When you get your opportunities, you got to bury them. Hopefully, that's what we see this Sunday. Like Eddie Howe said, we have to be disciplined, but there's gonna be a need for luck. We can't afford many yellow cards, or letting aggression get the best of us. Talking to players like Joe Linton, what he done last week Saturday against Brighton was quite ill-advised, and hopefully he can temper his aggression and just make certain that he's controlled and focused on winning his battles and being as effective as possible. Because when he's in that frame of mind, he's quite an unstoppable player, to be honest. To me, anyway, from what I've seen in that midfield role, destroying things and then just laying it off to the more attacking players. You know, he becomes immense, and if he can do stuff like that and just control his temperament, he'll be really effective. Also, Eddie Howe was talking about the transfers. He's obviously tight-lipped, doesn't want to give anything away. And I've been hearing rumours that supposedly we're going back in with one more bid for Yao Pedro. And I do feel like it could be a good signing either way, because it does give Eddie Howe options. You know, he can play across the forward line, as well as even in a more withdrawn role. Even though we don't play so much of a number 10 or you know, playmaker type, he can play in many roles, and that's what you want. That's why I would think the manager would want a player who's effective in as many areas as possible. And because he's quite young as well, then Eddie Howe can try and figure out his best position and start refining him, which I think is gonna be the centre forward position, you know, and just try and refine him eventually, so he just smooths out all the rough edges of his game, so he can become a quality striker. He's also been linked to Zirkzee of Bayern Munich. It was resurfaced because there was a few links a few weeks ago, but it may just be Bayern Munich trying to drum up some interest in him so they can get a fee, as they've just tried to buy a young player, I forgot his name, but a 17-year-old they've just acquired or they're about to acquire, so I think they're just trying to get a fee as quickly as possible for Xerxes. And I've also heard about Giancarlo Ramos. He's had a bid from Southampton for his services, supposedly, but we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. Well, this time last year, we would have been a rep who would have been able to even talk about competing for his signature. So we'll see after Wednesday, or I think the game's on Tuesday for Benfica, but we'll find out where they stand and whether they're willing to let him go next week, Wednesday onwards, I feel, as it comes closer and closer to the end of the transfer window. Yeah, so I really think Eddie Howe can break that duck against Pep Guardiola. I think that's what he wants to do as well. This is the stage he wants to be on. You know, he wants that to be in these intense, elite, competitive games. You know, fighting against the best teams in the division and being a real problem and a thorn in their side. And I think, if nothing else, that's what, even if we do end up losing on Sunday, the one thing he's gonna want to have done is being a real thorn in Manchester City's side, and to make it memorable to the Man City players as well, that they know the next time they face Newcastle United that they're gonna be in a real game. It's, you know, there's times you can see where they know they're just turning up and they're gonna roll a team over, and when they see Newcastle United on the fixture list, I think Eddie Howe wants to start establishing for teams in the division that that's a game you're not going to enjoy. You're not going to be picking up 3 points, and if you, well, you may pick up 3 points, but you're not going to be picking them up with ease. You're gonna have worked. You know, you're gonna remember that you've played Newcastle United, and that's what I feel that he's gonna try and start. He's always trying to implement it, but you can see that's what he wants. First and foremost, any team that faces Newcastle, you gotta win the battles, the first, second on the ball. You know, the basic stuff. You know, it's how hard you run, the tackles are put in 50-50s. He wants that intensity in the team, and that's what Man City are going to be facing on Sunday, I believe. He also talked about transfer rumours concerning Bruno Guimaraes, and it's a I like how he dealt with that, to be honest. He just simply broke it down and said, having a player of his ability is a pleasure to coach. He's a great young man to deal with in terms of his temperament, and the way he is a pleasure to deal with. You can see that Eddie Howe enjoys coaching this young man. And with that rumor that Real Madrid supposedly want him, I think it's quite unlikely, as even though they've just let go of Casemiro, they have quite a few young players that they spend a considerable amount on. So right now, I don't think their coffers are full enough to prize Bruno from Newcastle. And we're in a strong position. He's just signed a contract. I think it was 5 years. So we're in a strong position. They would have to pay an extremely high amount, and it's very small time left in the transfer window. So all those things point to it's unlikely to be happening. But also, Bruno, like Eddie Howe said, he came during the relegation fight, and he came with no relegation clauses. Man, him talk. Yeah, and yeah. So I feel like he's quite committed to this project on a long-term basis, and he's there's no reason for him to leave. This is the club that he wants to put his stamp on. When you think of Newcastle, I feel like he wants to make himself a legend at this club. It's nothing else. Um, I want to go into it in more detail in the next broadcast. So, wherever you are, have a good morning, afternoon, evening, or night. Peace.